Welcome. This video introduces Delta's Cycle of Opportunity, a framework for understanding how people's experiences at work can differ, even when their potential is the same. It also explores what you, as a leader or manager, can do to ensure everyone has a fair opportunity to grow, succeed, and thrive. You've worked hard to get where you are today. Now imagine working twice as hard and getting half as far. The fact is, people can have vastly different experiences of the same workplace. Some immediately feel they fit in and see a long-term future for themselves. They receive regular developmental feedback from their manager and visible support from senior colleagues. Others aren't so lucky and maybe don't even notice what's not happening to them. Soon, these differences can have an impact on people's careers, accelerating some and stalling others. This effect was noticed by Professor Doyen Atawolagun, a psychologist and CEO of Delta, a leadership and inclusion consultancy. She calls it the cycle of opportunity. In this video, we'll examine the cycle of opportunity and see how everyday choices can influence how people progress through an organization. We'll look at how interactions with people who are similar to them or different from them in background, experience, or thinking style can affect their success at work. And we'll discuss what you can do. As a leader and manager, you help shape your team's experience of work. To a large extent, you determine whether people feel listened to and valued, and whether they're given the chance to grow and do their best work. We aim to give you a new set of tools to help talent thrive in all its diversity. Let's start by reflecting on opportunities at work, both formal and informal, and how dramatically people's experience of them can differ. Take a moment to remember a time in your career when someone created an opportunity for you that changed your trajectory for the better. Then ask yourself what your career might have looked like without it. Keeping this in mind, here's a tale of two employees, based on actual data from our work with global professional services organizations, global law firms, large public sector organizations, and the education sector. Picture the scene. It's day one, and the organization has a bunch of new recruits. They are eager, ambitious, talented people ready to start their career. We're going to focus on two of them. Let's call them Eddie and Didi. Eddie is waiting nervously when his line manager comes in and says, "Oh my gosh, Eddie, I'm Ari. So nice to meet you. I've had a look at your CV. We grew up in the same neighborhood, and we went to the same high school. I had such a fun time there, didn't you?" Ari is thinking, Eddie seems like just the person I need in this role. Other team members Ari knows who did a similar degree were a natural fit. Then Ari says, "Come on, let me show you around and I'll tell you where we keep the good coffee. Afterwards, I'll introduce you to a few people. I'll talk you through the different projects we're working on. There's one I think it will be a great fit for you to get stuck into. I'll send you an outline of what's happening on it over the next few weeks, and I'll keep you in mind for any other opportunities that come up." In this way, Ari is enabling Eddie's contribution to the business, recommending him for a high-profile project, giving Eddie opportunities to demonstrate his capability, elevating him. Fast forward a few months, and Eddie has a network of friends at work, has taken a good shot at the opportunities that came his way, received helpful feedback, and is endorsed widely around his department. When it comes to promotion to the next rung, the panel has evidence of Eddie's track record, and his reputation as a fast-track high performer is established. This is pathway A. So, what about Didi, the other new recruit? She started the same day as Eddie, so she'll have a similar path, right? On day one, Didi is in reception just like Eddie. But take a look at pathway B. As she waits for her line manager, Didi's feeling uncomfortable and a little out of place. She's the first person in her family to work in an organization like this, and she wasn't sure what to wear on her first day. She's got the qualifications needed to get in, but she did not take the traditional route. What's more, she has what some people have described as an unusual accent, and she might explain things in a different way. Ari comes down to meet Didi, but there's a little bit of social distance this time. The conversation seems a little formal, and Didi guesses that's just how people are in places like this. Ari takes Dee Dee straight to her desk and gives her some paperwork to complete, checks her laptop is up and running, and then tells Dee Dee to come find her if she has any queries. Dee Dee knows getting this job is a big deal for her and her family. She's determined to work hard and not let her family down. Dee Dee gets her head down, working through the tasks she has been allocated. Dee Dee receives a lot of routine tasks from her new colleagues via emails. She isn't always sure what to prioritize, but she presses on, sometimes working late to get through her task list. Her family and friends don't really understand what she does, so she doesn't speak to them much about her work. She has learned she needs to pick things up along the way. One evening, working late, Dee Dee overhears some of her colleagues arrange to leave work together and get a drink in a local pub. Unknown to her, they're also planning to discuss an exciting upcoming project and how they might collaborate on it. They didn't invite Dee Dee, which she's used to, but she doesn't realize that an opportunity to prove herself on a challenging task has just been deferred. Dee Dee does get feedback on her work, but it's usually via email or a short phone call. There are often lots of changes tracked and comments all over her documents from her senior stakeholders. She feels the hard work she has put in is often downplayed and not appreciated. She's determined to take all the feedback on board, although it's hard sometimes without clearer direction. But she's always dreamt of having a job like this, and it's important to keep going and keep working hard to prove herself. Dee Dee doesn't know that some of her senior stakeholders take a different approach with Eddie. They often have a quick chat with him before or after they send an email to explain what they've written and why. Eddie often has frequent, informal conversations with senior colleagues to help improve his work. Fast forward again, and it seems to Dee Dee that while everybody else seems to be making progress, getting along with each other, and having a generally positive time at work, it's different for her. As the promotion cycle approaches, she becomes more and more sure this isn't the right place for her. She's derailed. She decides to leave before she's pushed out. This is the cycle of opportunity, the ways in which different people experience different stages of their career. Both Eddie and Dee Dee have talent. That's what's got them into the organization, but their experiences turned out quite differently. One will thrive, the other will just survive, or dive on out. So where do you fit in the cycle of opportunity? What role can you play to make sure the workplace is somewhere that everyone can thrive, no matter how different they are? We often assume that anyone with talent will thrive at work, but this isn't true. It's what we call the meritocracy myth. The notion that we all have the same shot at success, and if you work hard and you're good enough, you will rise to the top. It isn't that simple. Yes, meritocracy is our aspiration, but when we look at reality, when we analyze the data, we see people have very different experiences of the workplace that are not related to their actual talent, but will affect whether they swim or sink. If we continue to believe this is a purely meritocratic context, we ignore reality. We sidestep the data that shows some are swimming with the tide and others against the tide. We might rely on our biased personal experiences and assume, hey, it worked for me, it should work the same way for everyone else. The meritocracy myth also potentially sends a message to people like Dee Dee who aren't getting the same opportunities that there's something wrong with them. Maybe their socioeconomic background, their religious background, their cultural heritage. So, how can we create real meritocracy? How can we ensure that more people's experiences are like Eddie's? First, we need to recognize that we are all members of the inclusion ecosystem. Take a moment now to reflect on the people and teams who collaborate to create your organization's culture, which is hopefully one of inclusion and excellence. Now, consider how you can take action to make this ecosystem even more robust by shifting from positive intent to positive impact and adopting a growth mindset. What's a growth mindset? A growth mindset is about believing that you can get better at things through effort, learning, and practice. For anyone who's had a toddler in their lives, do you remember when they were trying to walk or learning to ride a bicycle? We wouldn't say to the toddler, to learn to ride the bicycle, avoid riding the bicycle. A growth mindset is believing that trying to ride and falling off a bike is part of learning to ride it. The mistakes you make and lots of practice help you get better. So, see yourself as part of the inclusion ecosystem, learning what your role is. This might include the discomfort and uncertainty, the falling off the bike that comes with learning. How can we take action to expand the cycle of opportunity and create cultures that are fair and meritocratic? One practical way is to pay attention to the power of micro-behaviors. Remember that first day, how Ari's small gestures and messages signal to Eddie and Didi about whether they fit? And by the way, these are often unintentional. Now think about how different micro-behaviors might make someone feel seen or overlooked, appreciated or undervalued. Let's expand on that for a moment. On the left of this slide are examples of micro-affirmations, small intentional actions that signal respect, inclusion, and belief in someone's contribution. On the right are small, often unintentional actions that signal the opposite. For example, providing clear, specific feedback versus giving vague praise. Assuming someone has what it takes to succeed here and giving them high-profile and challenging but enjoyable projects so they can learn and grow, versus giving them routine tasks because high-profile projects would be too risky. You aren't sure why, it's just a feeling. One of our clients told us he'd always believed he became a partner in his law firm because he was driven and ambitious. On reflection, he realized that many people had helped him along the way by providing clear, specific feedback. He was regularly coached on how to succeed with clients, encouraged to start thinking about what it meant for him to fit the future of the organization, and prepare towards becoming a partner. Sometimes that feedback was direct and challenging, but it was specific and actionable. It was motivated by, "I want you to succeed. I want you to thrive." In contrast, another client said, "I thought I was doing all I could, but my manager didn't give me any specific feedback or time to improve until just before the appraisal meeting itself. By the time I received that written feedback from my manager, it was too late. By then, I wasn't going to stay." One quick way to avoid micro-inequities is to attribute contributions as close as possible to real time in meetings or via email, because that is when it is the most valuable. Also, research shows that someone who fits our assumptions of what authority and expertise looks like is more likely to be praised and given credit for good ideas. So be aware that colleagues are less likely to be acknowledged for their ideas if they speak less or if they are from an underrepresented group. Another action is to pause before allocating work to your team. If you or your colleagues don't believe someone's ready for a task, think about what would make them ready. Finally, give specific progression-linked feedback. Research suggests that it's easier, more beneficial, and more motivating to strive towards a particular goal. Not only does it align with the psychology of becoming a better human being, but it also signals to an underrepresented colleague that you see them as part of the future of the business. Over the longer term, you need to understand what your organizational data are telling you, what's happening in your part of the business. Think about promotion, work allocation, and feedback that might affect people's engagement and progression. How can you encourage buddying and developmental relationships with others in the business so everyone benefits, so more people know how things work around here and not just a few selected people? A sixth action is to track informal opportunities. You may want to keep a simple log. For example, note who is getting invited to client or professional social events and who isn't, who gets stretch work and who doesn't, who gets exposure to senior leaders and who doesn't. Next, consider how you can appropriately use your influence to advocate in rooms where decisions are made, particularly for less traditional talent. 8. Pay attention to how reputations are created and how progression decisions are made. Work out how you spot talent early and consistently tell people what you're looking for. Finally, hold yourself accountable. Invite people to challenge you. Tell them what you're going to do and ask them to check in with you about how it's going. People pay attention when they see others act. Research shows that the impact is greater when action comes from someone outside their group, someone who isn't seen as a usual suspect, someone who isn't perceived as having a chip on their shoulder. People respond when they see someone in a position of power say, "This is important." Remember, you're a member of the inclusion ecosystem. Take action, don't waste talent like Didi. Move from awareness to impact. Contact us on info@deltaalphapsi.com to accelerate change through coaching, personality insights, practical workshops, and tailored advisory support.